guys, welcome to this reading for the new moon in Aquarius. Now, of course, this is going to be tropical new moon. It's not going to be sidereal or true sidereal. Tropical seems to be the most well known. Doesn't always have to be the most used, but I think in a lot of cases it probably is, especially in the Western society. So I'm going to draw just a few quick cards here and see kind of where we're getting like the overall energies of the new moon, what we need to release, how it's going to affect us, and how to kind of raise our vibration, right? And then I have a separate Moonology deck here, as well as Gateway of Light Activation by Kyle Gray, another Oracle deck. I, for some reason, was drawn to it for this reading, so I'm going to go ahead and use it. So yeah, let me just shuffle these cards a few more times here. Let me jump right in. I'm going to start doing, like I said in my previous videos, I'm going to start doing new moon, full moon, solar eclipses, and lunar eclipses, because I think those are the most powerful lunar cycles that we experience. People generally feel the effects during those times. Not that like first quarter and third quarter doesn't have an effect, or even the wanings or waxings. They all have their symbology in the lunar phases and cycles, but ultimately I think the major points are going to be during the new moon, full moon, solar eclipses, and lunar eclipses. So I'm going to go in with that. I'm using a different deck this time around. I was definitely drawn to this one for today. Plus, I want to keep it a little bit separate, right? I want to do something a little bit different for each video, and that's what I'm going to stick to. So go ahead and draw these. Just the overall energy. This is how it's going to affect us. This is what we need to release, and this is how to raise our vibration. Wow, those are actually pretty easy to read. I'm going to go ahead and just draw a couple. My setup's going to change, by the way, at some point in time, but right now this is kind of what I had to work with. And I guess I forgot to mention this, but this is going to be a collective reading. I'm not doing one for each zodiac sign. I do believe that the moon phases in general kind of affect us on a collective level, but we can have a lot of common themes playing out, and those common themes are not going to be exact for each person. However, it is going to be very similar from person to person, because we all are being affected. We're all connected through an energetic cord, right? Energetic vibrations. We are all connected in so many different possible ways. And I think that, as the new moon comes in Aquarius, we're all going to be affected on an individualistic level, because Aquarius is very much tied to your unique character, how you show up in the world, and ultimately it's also ruling over technology as well. So there may be some things happening along with technology, whether it's malfunctioning, or you may be drawn towards certain types of technology, or just using technology to express yourself in some way, like what I'm doing right now, right? Kind of makes sense. But anyway, let me jump right into this real quick. So the overall energy is the universe. I'm going to try and make sure you guys can see this, but the universe is talking about, it could talk about movement, as in moving from one place to another. This is one of the moving cards, but if you're not looking into moving, it's talking about turning over a previous cycle and going into a new one, right? So you may be experiencing some shifts happening around this time in regards to letting things go so that you can make space for something new. But ultimately, it's an achievement. It is a definite achievement, because it's helping you move on to the next phase of your life. And ultimately, that's what we want, right? We want to be able to move on. We want to be able to let those old energies go and to embrace new. And I think this is going to play off of the previous readings that I just did for the week, because it makes sense, right? This week is the new moon week. So it's going to make sense that there are going to be a lot of common themes playing out from this reading that are going into that correlate with the readings that I just did for the zodiac signs. And honestly, you want that. You want consistency with tarot card readings, because if they weren't consistent, you would be questioning yourself like, okay, is this actually happening? Is this stuff actually real? Very much real. And if it is correlating, then it's definitely telling you, yes, what was previously said is actually going to happen. So anyway, the overall energy is completion. We're moving into a new cycle. And that's exactly what the new moon represents in general. The new moons in general, aside from the zodiac signs, is always talking about something new, starting something new. So with it being an Aquarius, again, you could be having new ideas. You could literally be having new ideas that are talking about self-expression and using technology to do so. So allow that energy to come through. Don't resist it. The more we resist, the more it will persist, especially if it's like a true calling. So that's the overall energy. We'll move on here. So this is how this is going to affect us on an individual level. Okay, so I'm getting a couple of different messages here on this one. This is the Wisdom card. It's the equivalent to the Hierophant and the Tarot. They are different than the actual tarot cards, but they are very similar as well. So this one to me is one of the messages here is very simple. This is going to help us spiritually grow, because the Wisdom card is talking about learning lessons, bringing in new knowledge, especially of self, because when you're on the Fool's journey, it is all about the self, I guess, in a lot of ways, as much as it is about everyone else, because the self is much more expansive than what we would even hope to believe, I guess, right? Because I'm not talking about like, it can be the individual self, but when I talk about the self and how each one of us plays a part in the overall expansion of the universe and how it evolves and grows and learns through feed forward and feedback loop, this is what I'm talking about. So when you're learning new things and expanding yourself on an individual level, you're actually working to expand the universe at large, right? So that's what I'm getting here from one of the messages, is this new phase that we're going into is definitely going to teach us something on a spiritual level to help us spiritually evolve, okay? So keep that in mind. There might be some people coming into your life that may be acting as spiritual leaders, giving you knowledge that you may not have been previously aware of. You may be wanting to be, like, I'm kind of drawn to this book here. So if you're someone who has been drawn to certain books, either you have already gotten a book, or you may be drawn to a certain type of book that is related to spirituality or some sort of personal growth, right? That's another thing that's coming up here. So this is how it's going to affect us, is growth. And I think that's the main part I'm getting here. I did say there was two parts here. It looks like I am kind of drawn to the house in the background. So, you know, you may be having some shifts going on in your relationships that are happening, especially in the home setting. But I do believe, because the sun is here, it's all part of your spiritual development. And your spiritual development is exactly what we need to be able to externalize that growth, right? Because what happens on the inside is ultimately going to reflect on the outside. An example of that is if you are someone who came more into their confidence, or you are learning new skills in relation to spiritual development, or just anything in general, eventually you're going to use that in the external reality. But first you have to learn it on the inside, understand it, integrate it, and then push it out there to the world. That's kind of like an example of a spiritual development. Or maybe you're becoming more loving, more open to other people. Maybe you have been through a hard time in regards to their relationship even, and you are changing on the inside. You're healing from that, and you're understanding the spiritual growth and the lessons behind that experience. That's kind of like what I'm talking about here. But ultimately, what's in front is the sun, all right? So the sun is always radiant, vibrant, and pushing us into a more happier time. So integrate those lessons, understand them on an individual level so that the collective can help. Because ultimately, if you're becoming a more loving person and more kind and respectful, you're sharing your gifts with the world, that is helping the world expand, right? You're pushing that love, you're exemplifying the love that you're now creating inside yourself in order to give it to other people. That's how we expand and grow as a collective, right? Let's see here. What I need to let go of. This is a new spread, so I'm kind of trying to remember what the spread was. So we've got the overall energy. We got how it's going to affect us, what's going to let go of. Okay, yeah. We got the excuse me. It's a new spread for me, so I'm trying to remember it. So what we need to let go of. Okay, so this one's a little bit tricky here, at least for some people it could be. It's love begins. It's the equivalent to the Ace of Cups in the tarot deck. But ultimately, what I'm feeling like is that there may be, like, going back to relationships even, there may be someone or somebody in your life that you might need to let go of in order to raise your vibration here. Because if there's something completing that we are trying to move out of and move into something new, those new fresh energies, that happiness that's awaiting us over here won't come in if we are still holding on to this over here. And this over here can be a person, it could be a place, it could be a job, it could be anything that is just holding you back. And you know it because you'll feel it, right? I don't want to be here anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to be with you anymore, basically. It's kind of like what I'm trying to say here. So if there is, love begins is basically saying like love will begin if you can actually let go of this relationship or this emotional attachment that you have. So, and I guess I can kind of elaborate on that as well. It doesn't really have to be a relationship, I suppose. It can be anything that you are emotionally attached to. And I did already kind of say that, but ultimately it's anything that you are emotionally attached to. So that's and this is a collective reading, so we all have our own themes and stories playing out, right? So this is going to hit everyone, or at least it should hit everyone that connects to this video on their own individual level. Because how we are going to raise our vibration is increasing our awareness of our own life. And that's kind of like what this is talking about here. That makes perfect sense. That's actually a really great card to have for this spot, in my personal opinion, because when you have greater awareness in your life, you have more awareness of what to do to move forward. You have more awareness of how you're behaving on the inside and how you treat other people. Whenever you have more awareness in general, that is literally going to help you create new behaviors and new patterns, or let go of certain things in your life that no longer serve you when you have the awareness that they no longer serve you. When that is let go of, once again, this is going to help create a much higher vibration inside yourself. And what we mean when anybody who like is talking about spirituality or metaphysics or quantum physics or whatever, when we're talking about raising our vibration, I shouldn't say what we mean is allowing new, fresh perspectives as well as higher like vibratory emotions to come in and stay. Just don't let anything stay that you're becoming attached to, because positive emotions as well as negative emotions are both not great for your overall equilibrium if you are experiencing them over too much. And a good example is when you're angry, you're sad, or you're just in a low state of mind, those emotions put stress on your body, right? It becomes toxic, and that can actually cause a lot of internal physical symptoms, mental symptoms, emotional symptoms. They all tie together, right? That can create issues inside your body and therefore create medical problems that you may have to be seen for, whether mental or physical, because those emotions become toxic when they're overused and overutilized really from your DNA producing them inside the cells, right? As well as positive emotions too. You know, I'm sure a lot of people who watch this video, this is a great example. You experience happiness all the time. If you were in a high happiness state of being for too long and you come off of that, you feel exhausted just as you would if you were overly sad or angry, right? It's because our bodies are meant to be in equilibrium. It's good to experience the highs as well as it's good to experience the lows, but if you stay in either spectrum for too long, it will definitely have an impact on your body and overall well-being. So allow those fresh energies to come in, increase your awareness, and increase your vibratory state. Also, when it comes to having a higher vibration, it also refers to kind of moving away from those bad experiences, because the law of attraction is always at work. Not that you won't have challenging experiences, but if you're having experiences that might be considered toxic, increasing your awareness of those toxic situations that are no longer serving you in your life, that will help you raise your vibration and no longer commit to those types of scenarios in your life no longer, right? You have the ability to do that, but it takes a law of attraction and an internal shift more than an external shift, because when you make that internal shift, you have that internal awareness that comes through of life changes or life things that need to be changed. Your external reality is going to change almost by default because of that. It has to. That's one of the laws of the universe, is being able to, as within, so without. So if something is unfavorable in your life right now that you want to let go of because it's toxic or not doing you good anymore or whatever, maybe there's something positive that you want to move towards. That's also in the awareness too. Moving towards a relationship. moving towards a new physical environment that's going to make you more happy, whatever it is. Changing up your home even. We recently just started changing things around and making more space for new things, buying new gadgets that can help us in our daily life or with these videos, that kind of thing. Bring in positive energies, fresh energies. Things become mundane for too long. It kind of gets that way. So I'm going to go ahead and pull these. That was the bulk of the reading here. I don't know, kind of rambling, but I kind of felt like I needed to say that. Okay. Yeah. Awesome. Wow, I drew 2 Leo cards. Okay, so the first one here is first quarter moon in Leo. It talks about being humble. So I don't want to elaborate on these too much because I know the video is already getting kind of long and I didn't want to be too long. But ultimately, because I got 2 Leo cards, it's new moon in Leo, first quarter moon in Leo. So if you are starting something new, it's going to be more playful, more adventurous even, and it's going to help you come out into the limelight because Leo is all about shining themselves, putting themselves out there, not caring what other people think and just doing it anyway. But the call here is like, if you start gaining attention from this, if you start putting yourself out there and gaining attention, I literally feel like I'm talking to myself right now. You start gaining attention, be humble about it. Understand that we all have a light to share. We all have a voice. We all have something that could be considered a gift inside of us that needs to be shared when you're ready. But don't become over cocky and over, become arrogant, whatever. Be humble with your achievements and the things that you're moving towards and your goals. Because ultimately, while you may seem like if you were someone who has been doing something alone or seemingly alone, we are never actually truly alone. There is spirit all around us. Everything that we immerse ourselves in would be considered spirit. We all have spirit guides even, whether you believe it or not. And I'm very confident in my answer with that too. So if that triggers you, I'm sorry, but guess what? It is what it is. We're all being guided. Whether you have new ideas come in, gut feelings that happen that push you in a certain direction, we are all being guided towards something. The thing is the awareness of being guided, the awareness of moving towards something or having the idea come in. So be humble. You're never ever alone, and that's as much a truth as it is comforting too. All right, and the last card here is from this new deck I just recently got. Gateway of Light Activation. I wanted to use these cards for the new moon, full moon, stuff like that. Because I feel like during these cycles of the lunar cycles, I feel like things are being activated inside of us. The energy is kind of transforming and moving. The universe is always expanding and looking for new ways of doing things and experiencing itself, basically. And that's another talk for another time. But anyway, so this is the Stellar Gateway Activation. Keywords here: infinite potential and manifestation vortex. So in the background here, there are pyramids. All right, the pyramids of Giza, I'm sure is what they're looking at. Basically, this is honestly a card that I was like totally thinking that I might wind up drawing before I even got to this reading. It's all about stepping through some sort of portal, right? Stepping through a portal, either figuratively, metaphorically, or literally. You could be stepping through some sort of literal portal, I guess. But let's just talk about it metaphorically or figuratively here. Energetically speaking, we are all stepping through a portal. We're moving into a new phase of life. And I definitely think that plays into the universe card. Because in traditional tarot, and even this card too, it kind of looks like a portal in a way. Traditional tarot, it's a woman standing inside of like a wreath-looking thing that I always think of like a portal. Because we're moving into the next phase. So this can bring about rapid shifts. Because it talks about a manifestation vortex. Vortices can definitely bring in rapid change. Think about a tornado or a hurricane. Those are vortexes, right? Those bring in powerful winds, powerful storms that wind up clearing paths even. So allow this to happen. Allow yourself to move through this time, these shifts that may be rapidly occurring. If you've been thinking about going to Egypt even, if this reaches you and you've been thinking about going to Egypt, I would love to go to Egypt myself. Do it. Take a trip there. If you have the means to do so, just do it. What it talks about, just like manifesting yourself a new life. right? You have infinite potential, and that's one of the key words here too. We all have infinite potential. So anyway, that was the reading for this new moon. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. Stay tuned for the weekly readings for the following week. So yeah, anyway, thank you for being here. Appreciate you.